Of course, celebrities aren't exactly who they make themselves out to be in their public personas, but sometimes the difference between the facade and the reality is more than anyone ever expected.
She created a media empire built of talk shows, magazines, and an endless banquet of recipes. But is Rachael Ray really as nice and bubbly as she appears on TV? Most fans say yes, but critics claim otherwise. Ray and her husband, producer John Cusimano, celebrated their 10th wedding anniversary in 2015 by renewing their vows during a lavish ceremony in Italy. Ray gushed about the event to People magazine, but tabloid reports suggest their marriage is anything but perfect. In 2013, the National Enquirer alleged Cusimano was a member of a swingers club in New York City and had cheated on Ray. Ray's camp denied the story, who said the tabloid piece was another pack of lies printed by the National Enquirer, who have been targeting John and Rachael for several years with no merit. Oprah played a major role in launching Ray's television career, but as Ray's television fame grew, some say the ladies' relationship has soured. In January 2007, TMZ reported that an allegedly drunk Ray made disparaging racial remarks about Winfrey during a dinner in 2005. The story was vehemently challenged by Ray's camp, who told TMZ, Rachael did attend the dinner referenced and enjoyed wine and good conversation with friends and colleagues. She denies making any of the comments referenced. In fact, there are several words that are attributed to Rachael that she has never uttered in her life. But it didn't stop there. In May 2008, the National Enquirer claimed Ray and Winfrey were at war because Winfrey supposedly had concerns about Ray's talk show and magazine. Ray dismissed the gossip during an episode of her show, which aired that month, saying, "The rumor about Oprah just broke my heart. It really did. It killed me. I'm like, no, we like each other." In 2008, TMZ tore apart Ray's Election Night Cooking Guide magazine spread in an effort to reveal a, quote, devious, grassy knoll-like plot that could decide the presidency. While the actual recipes went out of their way to sound neutral, even including unappetizing titles like bipartisan salad, TMZ noted that the photos next to the dishes were allegedly laid out in favor of Barack Obama over John McCain. They noted 3 instances where Obama and McCain buttons or stickers are arranged in a dining display, but in all 3 photos, Obama's image is clear, while McCain's image is either partially obstructed from view or blurry. Truly earth-shattering stuff. Also in 2008, Ray found herself engulfed by a controversial Dunkin' Donuts ad. Some suggested the chef was supporting terrorism because she was wearing a black and white scarf that looked like a traditional Arab headdress. The brand said no political symbolism was intended. Ray leading a double life as a terrorist? That seems far-fetched. But the commercial was pulled off air for good measure. As part of her Food Network show, $40 a Day, Ray spent a lot of airtime visiting eateries. Having made a living in the food industry, you'd think she'd be eager to give back to struggling waiters and waitresses. Not so, according to some critics who've labeled her a notoriously cheap tipper, reportedly leaving waitstaff a paltry 10% gratuity. Interestingly enough, Ray starred in a Food Network program in 2014 called The Big Tip, serving up big tips, which scoured the country looking for waiters and waitresses that deserve a life-changing tip, which was hopefully more than her usual $2.84. This debacle is a case of mistaken identity, leading many to believe Ray was living a double life as rapper Jay-Z's mistress. For real. Beyoncé's Lemonade debuted in the spring of 2016, igniting a frenzied search for the person referenced in her Sorry track. In the last line of the song, Beyoncé mentions Becky with the good hair. Some Beyoncé fans, known collectively as the Beehive, linked Becky to fashion designer Rachael Ray. Ray may or may not have been the reason Beyoncé's sister, Solange Knowles, attacked Beyoncé's husband Jay-Z in an elevator in that notorious TMZ footage. The Hive mistook Roy's name for Ray's, leading them to swarm Ray's social media accounts with lemonade and bee emojis, insults, and even misguided boycotts of her products. Fortunately, Ray shrugged off the scandal with a laugh, telling US Weekly, "Rachael sent me flowers, and I sent her a big bottle of wine and a straw."
Food Network star Giada De Laurentiis has built herself an empire based on her home cooking and wholesome appearance. But not everything in her life is as wholesome as it looks. We did a little digging and found out that she's as messed up as the rest of us. With all of the food that she cooks on her show, we've often wondered how Giada De Laurentiis stays so petite. The answer's simple: she never actually eats any of the food that she cooks. According to a Page 6 article from 2014, an unnamed source revealed that Giada chews the food for the cameras, then spits it out into a dump bucket. A representative for De Laurentiis has denied this, but it could simply prove the old adage, never trust a skinny chef.
It's the perfect light indulgence on a weeknight hors d'oeuvre. It's a perfect weeknight hors d'oeuvre.
Soon after finalizing her divorce from fashion designer Todd Thompson in September 2015, De Laurentiis started stepping out with a new guy, TV producer Shane Farley. However, rumors and allegations surfaced that the two had actually started dating while Giada was still married to Thompson. Meanwhile, De Laurentiis has also been linked to other men in the past, guys like Matt Lauer, Bobby Flay, and John Mayer. She's denied rumors of all these affairs, especially the John Mayer one. Meanwhile, when De Laurentiis announced her relationship with Farley, her beau was actually still married. According to TMZ, she and her ex-husband never signed a prenuptial agreement, so Thompson gets half the money she earned from various book advances that are still in the works. Also, Thompson gets to keep their $3.2 million Pacific Palisades home, which contains $300,000 in furnishings and art, and $9,000 a month in child support, along with numerous other financial windfalls. Fortunately for her, she kept her brand, GDL Foods Inc., and doesn't have to pay spousal support. That settlement still might have been a bit hard for her to swallow. Maybe she had the dump bucket handy? In November 2015, De Laurentiis opened up to Dr. Oz's magazine, The Good Life, saying, quote, "It was a very difficult time. I don't have the answers. I'm figuring them out as I go. I'm also afraid, like many other women who go through this, and men too, for that matter." Regardless of just how her split with Todd Thompson went down, that's definitely one sentiment that everyone can agree with. Dr. Mehmet Oz made his first appearance on The Oprah Winfrey Show in 2004, launching him into a career that's included both fame and infamy. His partnership with Winfrey led him to launch The Dr. Oz Show on Oprah's network in 2009, and now he's a household name, as well as a guy who seems to be constantly trying to sell you untested miracle drugs. Let's break down the double life of Dr. Oz.
You may think magic is make-believe, but this little bean has scientists saying they found the magic weight loss cure for every body type. It's green coffee beans.
Unfortunately, there are no magic pills or beans that will solve all of life's problems, but Dr. Oz didn't get the memo. Among the things that he's literally called magic weight loss solutions are green coffee extract, raspberry ketone, and Garcinia cambogia. For the record, there's no science to back up any of the claims he's made, and in fact, studies have even indicated otherwise. A 1998 study showed that Garcinia cambogia didn't notably help participants lose weight. A similar 2013 study proved the same for green coffee. In fact, the Federal Trade Commission sued the company that makes green coffee extract in 2014. Sorry folks, good old-fashioned diet and exercise continue to be the only way to lose weight naturally. After being accused of misleading his audience about weight loss products, Dr. Oz was summoned to face a Senate subcommittee in 2014 where he promptly began to backtrack on his claims. While he never referred to his comments as outright lies, he did concede that his language was a little strong, using words such as miracle and magic when referring to pills that have no proven effects. He finally told the Senate,
I'm in a situation where I'm second-guessing every word I use on the show right now. So I'm very respectful. I've heard the message. I've told my colleagues at the FTC, I get it.
maybe he should just stick to discussing real issues, like the Great Shiny Legs debate of 2016. The British Medical Journal performed a study in 2014 examining claims made on Dr. Oz's show and found that many of those claims on the Dr. Oz show were not supported by evidence or were in direct contradiction to scientific studies. Doctors were only able to find legitimate evidence to support around 46% of the recommendations on the show. 15% of Dr. Oz's claims were found to be in direct contradiction to scientific evidence, and no evidence was found for the remaining 39%. At this point, we're not even sure if we trust his bathroom cleaning hacks. In addition to the allegations regarding numerous weight loss products Dr. Oz has promoted, he's also been accused of peddling eternal youth. According to the Huffington Post, Dr. Oz touted red palm oil as the miracle oil for longevity, saying, "There's a secret inside the flesh of this fruit, extending the warranty of nearly every organ in your body. This mega oil may very well be the most miraculous find of 2013. He also claimed it could prevent dementia and Alzheimer's, despite there being no research to support that claim. A 2004 study even shows that an increased intake of saturated fats, like red palm oil, could potentially lead to cognitive decline. Not only are Dr. Oz's miracle cures possibly doing nothing, but they might actually be hurting people. When Dr. Oz tells his millions of viewers to buy a product, they listen. Science-based medicine calls this phenomenon the Dr. Oz effect, noting that when he promoted green coffee bean extract on his show, along with naturopath Lindsay Duncan, they directed consumers to websites owned by Duncan. Duncan reportedly sold $50 million worth of the supplement following the segment on the Dr. Oz show. And then he was charged by the FTC, forcing him to refund $9 million to customers. In 2015, Dr. Oz used his show to address a petition that questioned his professional qualifications.
You may have seen the headlines attacking me this past week after a brazen letter from 10 mysterious doctors called for my removal from Columbia University Medical School, where I have proudly been on the faculty for almost 20 years.
The statement indicated that Dr. Oz actively endangers the public and read, in part, Dr. Oz has repeatedly shown disdain for science and for evidence-based medicine. Columbia refused the request, saying it wouldn't remove Dr. Oz as vice chairman because the school is, quote, committed to the principle of academic freedom and to upholding faculty members' freedom of expression for statements they make in public discussion, which is a polite way of saying, we don't care. Dr. Oz has responded to those who scrutinize the accuracy of this advice by saying that the Dr. Oz show is not a medical show and defended the title, which, let's not forget, has the word doctor on it, by giving a convoluted justification about the logo, saying, we very purposely, on the logo, have Oz in the middle and the doctor is actually up in the little bar for a reason. I want folks to realize that I'm a doctor and I'm coming into their lives to be supportive of them, but it's not a medical show. While this should be obvious, considering he interviews people dressed as green beans. Still, we'd expect him to use the word doctor a little more responsibly than, say, Dr. Dre or Doc McStuffins or Dr. Pepper.
Beyonce is an enigma. She's an international songstress who belts out Leave 'Em Girl anthems as her alter ego Sasha Fierce. And then there's her private life, which has been shrouded in controversy, including husband Jay-Z's infidelity and allegations that she hasn't always been truthful about her songwriting process. While she appears to address some scandals head-on, the Lemonade artist remains mum on the hottest topics. Let's dig into the double life of Beyonce. Many fans are drawn to Beyonce because of her female-empowered hits, with lyrics that vibe on how she can do with or without a man in her life. This self-proclaimed Black Bill Gates in the making settles for nothing, and she doesn't stop there. In 2017, the singer released a video in celebration of International Day of the Girl, featuring girls from all corners of the globe singing her song Freedom. But while she skillfully uses her platform to build women up in all aspects of their lives, fans were asking questions when it came to her hubby, Jay. Infidelity allegations have plagued Beyoncé's marriage, and she appeared to address them in 2016's Lemonade. In her scathing track, Sorry, she not only blasts her husband's alleged mistress, aka Becky with the good hair, but also seems to peace out on the relationship. Then, when Jay-Z released 444 in 2017, rumors about his infidelity were all but confirmed. He told the New York Times his issues are rooted in his inability to connect to women emotionally, admitting,
the hardest thing is seeing pain on someone's face that you caused and then have to deal with yourself.
Despite Jay-Z's admissions and Beyoncé's fiercely independent brand, it looks like this power couple is in it to win it. Beyoncé is the queen of keeping her private life private. Vogue journalist Jason Gay once wrote, an audience with Beyoncé can be as challenging to schedule as a tennis match with the Pope. As early as 2005, Queen Bee was outlining her reclusive approach to superstardom, telling Oprah,
it's really hard to have privacy. Sometimes it gets a little overwhelming, but I now have learned to take time for myself.
But exactly where does she draw the line? Despite craving privacy, Beyoncé joined Instagram in 2012, posting never-before-seen photos of her glamorous lifestyle on and off the stage. And as far as her music, Palatini Media CEO Danielle Moody Mills called Lemonade the most vulnerable, raw, and artistic album that Beyoncé has ever made. Though the project was considered highly biographical, Beyoncé was reluctant to detail her connection to its content. This tug-of-war of those missing pieces leaves some fans questioning her true intentions. Queen Bee is all about healthy living.
It's all about balance, but absolutely, I make better choices.
In 2011, she even lent a helping hand to former FLOTUS Michelle Obama's Let's Move campaign with the song Get Me Bodied. Then in 2015, she took things a step further by partnering with her trainer Marco Borges for 22 Days Nutrition. The plant-based meal plan, along with strenuous workouts, was cited as the driving force behind the singer's svelte bod. Borges told E! News, she is all about health and wellness. She just wants to feel good. But was she really as healthy as she claimed? Beyoncé played songstress Dina Jones in the film adaptation of the Broadway musical Dreamgirls, and to prepare for her role, Beyoncé reportedly endured the infamous Master Cleanse. She told Oprah, I figured in the 60s, Twiggy was the hot model, and Diana Ross and Cher and all the legends were thinner than I am, so I decided I wanted to lose weight and make a physical transformation. The 14-day cleanse, also known as the lemonade diet, consists of chugging maple syrup, fresh squeezed lemon juice, and cayenne pepper to rid the body of toxins. However, according to Health.com, the rapid weight loss from consuming less than 1,200 calories a day can lead to a slow metabolism and even cardiac stress. Not exactly healthy. When she wasn't spilling the tea about her marriage, Beyoncé's Lemonade was celebrating the beauty, pride, and achievements of Black women. And prior to that project's release, Bey delivered a powerful performance steeped in Black power references at the 2016 Super Bowl, sparking conversation about race relations in America and spotlighting Black Lives Matter. In the early 2000s, Latin sound was hot in the States, and nearly everyone was experimenting with Spanish-language music, including Beyoncé. After the 2006 release of her super successful hit, Irreplaceable, she released a Spanish version of the track, then teamed up with Shakira for Beautiful Liar and its Spanish counterpart. But some of the singer's love for the language went further than admiration. She confirmed as much in 2008, telling Latina magazine, "I'm just jealous that I wasn't born Latina. I wish I had been because the culture is so beautiful. I'm very grateful Latinos are embracing me." Beyoncé told Vanity Fair that Crazy in Love, featuring Jay-Z, was really hard to write. I had written, 7, 8 #1 songs with Destiny's Child in a row? But I guess if you haven't written a #1 song in 3 months, you have to prove yourself again. But did Beyoncé exaggerate the role she played in writing that track? And more? Beyoncé's honesty regarding her songwriting process was called into question when MTV News revealed Crazy in Love was actually the brainchild of producer Rich Harrison. Harrison said he had the track ready to go and was just waiting for the right artist to bring it to life. When he linked up with Beyoncé, she supposedly loved the sample and told him, "Now write the song. I'll be back in 2 hours." But Beyoncé's controversial crediting stretches beyond just her songwriting. She's been accused of modeling her maternity photos off rapper MIA's POWA video, copying Fuerza Bruta choreography, and ripping off Swiss artist Pipolotti Reist in her Hold Up video. In 2017, Business Insider reported that Bey was being sued for $20 million by the estate of a late internet star who sampled information. Is it simply an accident? After all, imitation is a form of flattery. Either way, it certainly adds to the complexity of her mysteriously magical life.
Almost everyone knows who Tom Cruise is. Well, part of him. The Oscar-nominated actor has been a bona fide movie star for decades, but behind the curtain is a man whose personal woes seem to stand in direct contrast to his squeaky clean superstardom. Here's the rundown on the complicated double life led by one of Hollywood's longest-lasting A-listers. Ever since his earliest days as a Hollywood heartthrob-turned-action star, Cruise has developed a reputation for being completely willing to go there with dangerous stunt work and usually arrives as the capable hero of his movies. Even when he does pick up a villainous role, he's usually still likable on some level. For his Mission Impossible series, he's done a ton of death and gravity-defying hands-on work as the unconquerable Ethan Hunt, including holding onto the side of an airplane during takeoff. Rogue Nation stunt coordinator once quipped that his stuntman has the least work of any stuntman in the world. In other words, he's represented as a tough, hardworking, good guy by Hollywood standards. However, as solid as his star status has remained, Cruise's personal affairs have been the subject of many raised eyebrows. His 3 divorces, from Mimi Rogers in 1990, Nicole Kidman in 2001, and Katie Holmes in 2012, have prompted no shortage of speculation. With Kidman, for example, rumors abounded that the reason they never had biological kids and instead adopted 2 children together was that Cruise was secretly gay. Kidman later revealed to Vanity Fair that they once suffered a traumatic miscarriage, however, and Cruise has consistently denied rumors about his sexuality. What he hasn't been able to dispel, though, are the stories about his controlling behaviors in his relationships. Holmes, for example, shocked fans of their seemingly whirlwind romance by suddenly removing herself and their daughter, Suri Cruise, from his home and life, after reportedly feeling trapped within it. One source compared the level of control and confinement to the 1968 classic horror film Rosemary's Baby, saying, "Every move she made and everything she did was controlled." That's hardly the same gleeful image the powers that be have painted of the actor over the years. Cruz ranks among the most famous and fiercely devoted members of L. Ron Hubbard's much-scrutinized religious sect, and he has done a number of very strange things in the name of Scientology over the years. Among the most troubling, he reportedly allowed the church to secretly tap ex-wife Nicole Kidman's phone because her father was a psychologist, which was viewed as an enemy of the institution. The organization allegedly even aided him in turning their adoptive children against her by labeling her a suppressive person.
I'm just living my life, and I'm doing the best that I can and doing it in a way that I feel is right.
The dissolution of his marriage to Holmes, too, seems largely attributable to his codependency with the church. Reportedly, certain members moved into their home, and Holmes feared they'd convince Suri to cut off contact with her if and when she left the church. Cruz's ties to the religious organization have also been implicated in his divorce from first wife Rogers. Cruz's relationship with Scientology leader David Miscavige, however, has remained unfettered all the while. In her tell-all book, actress Leah Remini revealed that the two share a bromance that includes their own special language, and Miscavige is rumored to be heavily involved in Cruz's personal affairs.
People who knew Tom before he was fully brainwashed say that he was a sweet and loving person, and he's turned into something else.
At his birthday party in 2008, which was thrown by Miscavige, of course, Cruz was shown enthusiastically cutting a rug and dancing without abandon. And in Tropic Thunder, released that same year, Cruz was willing to don a prosthetic suit that multiplied his size to create Les Grossman, a Hollywood studio exec persona that took a hilarious poke at the movie business.
Let's go.
In reality, though, Cruz is reportedly an exceedingly serious person. Not only does he allegedly tape his own interviews, but he also has a very aggressive romantic courtship process. Modern Family star Sofia Vergara once reportedly experienced a blizzard of phone calls, text messages, and emails, and an invitation to go on a vacation with him on a trip to Scientology Center in Clearwater, Florida, just a day after meeting Cruz. She allegedly even had to go into hiding to avoid him. It's not the first time Cruz's oddball courtship rituals have been called into question either. A Norwegian actress named Annette Irene Johansson once reported being screen tested in an actual audition for the real-life role of Cruz's girlfriend. In War of the Worlds, Cruz played a sort of super dad who'd go to the ends of the earth to keep his children safe and sound.
I always wanted to be a father. You know, remember when you first held your child, it was like, wow, tremendous sense of responsibility.
According to reports, though, in real life he hasn't seen his daughter Suri in years, reportedly due to his unfailing commitment to the Church of Scientology. In June 2016, a source told In Touch that Tom hadn't seen his only biological child in over 1,000 days at that point, saying, "They used to Skype and text, but that trailed off drastically. Tom eats, breathes, and sleeps Scientology. He's disconnected from Katie and then de facto from Suri because of her connection to Katie. He hasn't seen her since she was 7. Cruz does, however, maintain a close relationship with his elder 2 children, Connor and Bella, both of whom are members of Scientology. But as part of the aforementioned disconnection policy, they are said to have rejected Kidman since the divorce. On screen, Tom Cruise is usually the kind of guy whose jets are way too cool to engage in major celeb spats, but the truth is, he's been a party to his fair share. His very public objection to Brooke Shields' use of antidepressants for her postpartum disorder, for instance, made waves because he called her use of anything but vitamins and exercise to cure their various emotional ills irresponsible.
You gotta understand, I really care about Brooke Shields.
The two later resolved their differences in a face-to-face discussion.
But then he came over to my house without, cameras and without anything, and he apologized.
But his controversial words continued on air in a sit-down interview with Matt Lauer in 2005 when the subject of Scientology's rejection of psychiatry came up.
Before I was a Scientologist, I never agreed with psychiatry. And then when I started studying the history of psychiatry, I started realizing more and more why I didn't agree with psychiatry.
He went on to call Lauer glib and claimed there is no such thing as a chemical imbalance to justify the use of prescription meds. He later apologized for being arrogant, but the mask of Cruz being a mainstream guy was fully and forever lifted.
Bobby Flay has cooked up quite a reputation as a celebrity chef, but behind the scenes his personal life has been turning stomachs. Turn up the heat, we're digging into the double life of Bobby Flay. Chef Masaharu Morimoto was not stoked about Bobby Flay's behavior when they competed against one another on Iron Chef Japan. Apparently, Flay committed quite the cultural snafu by jumping on a cutting board after the timer ran out. He wasn't declared the winner, but he certainly acted like that was the case. According to The Wire, Morimoto was highly offended by the manner in which his fellow celeb's chef treated the tools of their trade, saying, "He's no chef, he stood on the cutting board. In Japan, the cutting board is sacred." While we can understand Flay's exuberance in the heat of the moment, his actions still seem boneheaded and disrespectful. A chef of Flay's caliber should know the codes of the kitchen. Though a simple fist pump would have sufficed, Flay allowed his life as a celebrity to overshadow his life as a chef. Throwdown with Bobby Flay was supposedly a head-to-head competition between Flay and another chef, where they each made a variation on the challenger chef's signature dish. As the show was presented, each challenge portrayed Flay taking a crack at making a dish with which he was genuinely unfamiliar.
I'm on the Food Network, baby.
But according to competitor Ben Sargent, he was the patsy in what became the pilot episode for the then brand new show in 2006 after allegedly being duped by Flay and the Food Network into thinking he was getting his own show. In an interview with Slash Food, Sargent said he was under the impression that he was taping his own half-hour Food Network TV show, all about him and chowder, his specialty. That is, until Flay challenged him to a chowder cook-off. Sargent quickly realized what was happening, especially when Flay's army of help showed up. Sargent remembered he's got all his sous chefs, 2 women working under him in their black chef's coats with the little Food Network logo on them. They look so intimidating. His stocks were prepared in containers. He comes with 100 brand new glistening Japanese prep knives. He had his automatic chowder mixer. I'm sitting there mixing raw potatoes, dealing with our lack of high flame. It wasn't fair. But Flay's alleged cheating wasn't limited to the kitchen. Flay split with his third wife, actress Stephanie March of Law & Order SVU in 2015, and it was widely reported that Flay spent 3 years in an affair with Elise Terrell, an inspiring singer and actress. Terrell had worked her way up from her role as a hostess at Flay's bar Americaine in New York City to that of his assistant, according to Page 6. As cheating rumors swelled, the chef issued a statement to Us Weekly that read, "This specific allegation was in a letter sent from one attorney in this case to another. It was written and then leaked specifically to try to insert this story into the press. All of this is being done in order to renegotiate a prenuptial agreement that was agreed to over a decade ago." It wasn't exactly a denial of infidelity on Flay's part. It sounded more like an ugly chess move to lay blame on his ex's door. Flay's marriage to Stephanie March ended in 2015, but according to a report by TMZ, it had been breaking down long before. This was evidenced in 2014, when Flay reportedly opted out of visiting March in the hospital until the day after her emergency surgery for a burst appendix. And once he did show up, he supposedly left her early because he was, quote, busy with work. To make matters worse, Flay also reportedly skipped out on their 10-year wedding anniversary to attend a wine festival in Florida with a group of his assistants. But don't worry, March is doing just fine these days. She discussed her emergency appendectomy and revealed that she's had surgery for endometriosis, telling Physique 57, "I needed to give my body time to heal and be quiet. When I was ready to tackle regular exercise again, I wanted to incorporate more toning, stretching, and core fitness into my routine."
When you want to fix something in your life, look to your heart.
With an estimated net worth of $60 million, you'd think Flay wouldn't be cheap or possibly vindictive when dealing with his ex-wife. But according to a 2015 report by TMZ, Flay cancelled March's credit cards during their messy divorce, in a move her lawyer called, quote, bullying through economic warfare. March claimed she was using the cards only for household expenses, but Flay abided by their prenup and sent March a check for $5,000 instead. March's lawyer returned the check along with some blistering words for the famous chef in a letter to his attorney, writing, "We regard the support provisions of the premarital agreement as unenforceable, not to mention morally reprehensible." Her lawyer also accused Flay of using this economic tactic in order to force March into issuing a joint statement to lead people to believe their divorce was amicable. When Mad Men actress January Jones was in a small car accident in 2010, she called Bobby Flay for assistance, by all accounts suggesting that the two were, in the least, very close.
"This is a misunderstanding. I don't know this man."
But according to Flay, he met Jones for the first time that very evening. She asked him for his number because she wanted his input on an interior designer to redo her kitchen. He then claimed he had no clue why Jones phoned him to bail her out of her vehicular jam. Regardless, he was a gentleman and came to her aid. But was it just an innocuous celeb exchange? Not so fast. Flay's then wife Stephanie claimed Flay and Jones were lovers, according to the Daily Beast. And there's more food for thought. Jones gave birth to a son, Xander, in 2011. For years, it was rumored that her former Flame actor Jason Sudeikis was the baby daddy, but Jones never confirmed the identity of Xander's father. Could Flay have put a bun in that oven?
You know what that's saying? Eat me.
Getting awarded a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame should be a day to remember.
To be the first chef to get a star is really, truly an amazing milestone.
But unfortunately for Flay, that day was memorable for all the wrong reasons. During the 2015 ceremony, a plane flew overhead with a banner that read, quote, "Cheater," according to Us Weekly. Talk about a PR disaster. This embarrassing incident occurred in the midst of Flay's public divorce with March. Naturally, people speculated that his estranged wife might have been the culprit, but her attorney shot it down, stating, "Stephanie is absolutely not behind this." But a mere 2 months before Flay's ceremony, March's friend, a fellow actor, Maya Madison, spoke out about March learning about Flay's reported affair, telling Page 6, "She came to my house and was sobbing uncontrollably. She said, 'I can't believe the last 10 years of my life have been a lie.'" Flay's divorce from March was anything but amicable. Much of the courtroom fighting had to do with the couple's prenup, which Flay reportedly felt was fair and March allegedly did not. This led to a number of messy headlines in the tabloids, including fights over what really led March to get plastic surgery and even the couple's horse. The divorce was finally settled in July 2015, but not without one last headline. According to Page 6, as part of the settlement, March was forced to vacate the couple's Manhattan home, where she had been taking care of her sick mother. An insider alleged, "She has been staying there with her mother, who has been in poor health. It has been a very difficult time for her. It is unclear what her future living arrangement will be as she continues to care for her mother." In happier news, March has since found love again by way of tech investor Dan Benton, whom she married in 2017. Flay's brash behavior is the key ingredient to his notoriety. There's no shortage of press material about negative fan experiences, and how he appears to act similarly towards colleagues.
Bobby could kick her ass anytime.
Canadian chef Chuck Hughes competed with Flay on Iron Chef America, but before the showdown, Hughes presented his opponent with an official Montreal Canadiens hockey jersey, and in response to the gesture, Hughes told the CBC that Flay said, "Thank you so much, but it's not going to help." Hughes went on to defeat Flay with a plate of lobster poutine, so we assume Flay's smack talk didn't rattle the chef at all. According to Law 360, in 2009, workers from Bobby Flay's bar Americaine, Mesa Grill and Bolo filed a lawsuit against him that alleged they had been cheated out of wages and tips and sought to recover minimum wages, overtime compensation, and allegedly misappropriated gratuities. The workers' suit claimed they were not paid minimum wage or overtime, and that they had to buy and launder their own uniforms without reimbursement. On top of that, the disgruntled staff also alleged that tips were not being properly distributed, with even management sometimes getting a cut. Flay eventually agreed to pay a $800,000 settlement, although according to DNA Info, Flay denied any wrongdoing, but in court documents said he would rather settle with the workers than go to trial. During a 2018 appearance on the podcast Beyond the Plate, Food Network star Giada De Laurentiis recalled a story that caused her not to speak to Flay for months. They once teamed up on an episode of Iron Chef and faced off against Rachael Ray and Mario Batali. They lost, and while De Laurentiis was devastated, Flay didn't appear too bothered at all. Giada said, "We lost and he thought it was funny. He didn't think it was any big deal that we lost. I did not talk to him for 8 months. 8 months. Nothing." Explaining that it wasn't the loss as much as how Flay reacted to it that bugged her. She added, "It didn't seem to faze him that we lost. He didn't say, 'Hey, I'm sorry we lost,' or 'Hey, we'll do it again.' Nothing. He just walked away. And I thought, you're a jerk and I never want to be around you again." Of course, the feud eventually ended. The pair went on to co-host Food Network Star together, and now they maintain a good friendship. As Giada put it, "I think that Bobby is one of those people that if you are his friend, he has your back forever and he will stand up for you." Flay shocked fans and producers alike when he pulled off his apron during a live 2017 taping of Iron Chef Showdown to show off his shirt, which read, "This is my last Iron Chef battle ever." According to sources for Vanity Fair, producers scrambled once the director called cut and confronted Flay, telling him they wouldn't be able to edit that moment out of the show. To that, he allegedly responded, quote, "I know, that's the point." The insiders went on to claim that the stunt caused tension between Flay and Food Network, causing speculation on his future with the channel. However, all that ended when Flay issued a statement that October to People magazine, claiming the move was merely an ill-conceived joke. He said, "This past summer when I was in production on Iron Chef Showdown, I wore a t-shirt to have a little fun during my last battle this season. In hindsight, it was probably not the best decision because it's just creating confusion." He went on to call Food Network his, quote, family for over 20 years, and expressed his excitement to get back to Kitchen Stadium whenever his schedule allowed. But just 4 months later, Flay officially quit the show, citing the grueling schedule and stating via People magazine, "At some point I was like, I've been doing this for a long time, and I want to go out on a high note."
I'm probably not done yet, but I'm gonna look for the next spark.
Actress Heather Locklear is best known for her long-running stints in Dynasty and Melrose Place. But with the exception of a Golden Globe nomination for her work on the ABC sitcom Spin City in 2002, the next chapter was not as kind to the actress. She managed to keep up appearances by landing a few guest starring roles, but off-camera, Locklear was living a very different life. One that was a far cry from the glittering A-list status she'd previously enjoyed. Locklear married Motley Crue drummer Tommy Lee in 1986, and their unlikely union came as a shock to many. Jeff Giles wrote for Ultimate Classic Rock. Lee, like his Motley Crue bandmates, was rightly perceived as a reckless hedonist. Locklear, meanwhile, had a virginal reputation. The heavy metal band was even accused of devil worship during the satanic panic of the mid-80s, though Locklear brushed that off, telling people, "Tommy doesn't worship the devil, he worships me." The romance didn't last and the two divorced in '94, but Locklear wasn't done with rock stars just yet. Before the year was out, she was married to Bon Jovi guitarist Richie Sambora. 11 years later, the actress abruptly filed for divorce. According to People, she discovered some provocative pictures in an email sent to her husband by her friend, actress Denise Richards. Locklear never confirmed the rumors, and Sambora went on to date Richards on and off for several years. In March of 2008, a 911 operator answered a call from Locklear's concerned doctor. According to the Huffington Post, the doctor had prescribed antidepressants to Locklear, but had become concerned that she might overdose on them. He told emergency dispatchers,
"I have a patient, or I have a feeling she's suicidal, and I would want someone to go there."
Officers obliged and went to Locklear's home, but when they arrived, the actress claims the whole thing was a misunderstanding. A source told People, "She was talking to a friend. She was bummed about something and the person overreacted. Heather's doing great. She seems really happy." But despite claims from Locklear's nearest and dearest that she was doing fine, in June 2008 she quietly checked herself into a rehab facility in Arizona, reportedly to overcome anxiety and depression. Locklear's rep said in a press release, "She requested an in-depth evaluation of her medication and entered into a medical facility for proper diagnosis and treatment. This is a confidential medical matter, and no further statement will be released." Locklear reportedly spent 4 weeks undergoing treatment, which included spa sessions and horse riding, and it apparently did the actress a world of good. A friend told People, "Heather's feeling really great, and she looks beautiful, just radiant. She told a really funny story and she laughed from her core, and that's when I knew she was going to be fine. I think that's the best part of all. It's so nice to hear her laugh." Those close to her made it seem as though it was back to business as usual for the actress, and the story simply went away. But in the months that followed, the cracks in Locklear's radiant armor began to show again. According to People, in 2008, Locklear was arrested and charged with driving under the influence after someone called 911 after witnessing her driving erratically. In the end, Locklear pleaded no contest to reckless driving, and in exchange, the DUI vanished. The official line was that Locklear hadn't been drinking that day, but had actually been unknowingly impaired by the meds she was taking. Santa Barbara Deputy District Attorney Lee Carter told the New York Daily News she had prescription medication in her system that could have impaired her ability to safely drive a motor vehicle. The plea deal that Locklear's attorney thrashed out with prosecutors requiring her to take part in 3 years of informal probation, as well as a 12-hour DMV road and safety class. She was also slapped with a $700 fine, but emerged from the situation with her reputation only slightly tattered. Following her failed marriages to rock stars, Locklear decided to try dating an actor, and coupled up with Melrose Place co-star Jack Wagner, her one-time on-screen husband on the show. These two seemed like the perfect match when they first began stepping out in public together in 2007, and by August 2011, they announced that they were going to marry in real life. But just a few months later, Locklear's rep confirmed to The Hollywood Reporter that the wedding was off. And according to Star magazine, things got a little crazy between the ex-lovers when Wagner showed up at Locklear's house to return some of her belongings. An argument ensued and the two allegedly got into a physical altercation. A source close to the couple revealed a huge argument erupted as they insulted each other's families. As Heather went to her car, Jack lunged at her, trying to grab or push her. Her reaction was to swing. She caught Jack with a right hook across his face, knocking him to the ground.
Initially, it looked as though Locklear and Wagner would be heading to court on battery charges, but no charges were pressed on either side, and both parties moved on. Paramedics were once again called to Locklear's home in January of 2012. According to TMZ, her sister made a panicked 911 call after discovering Locklear had ingested a dangerous mixture of prescription drugs and alcohol. A spokesperson for the Ventura County Sheriff's Department told People. Emergency response personnel responded to a medical emergency call at Miss Locklear's residence. Once they arrived, it was determined that Miss Locklear needed to be transported to the hospital for further medical attention. Speculation was rife that the actress had made an attempt on her own life, but the actress and her family claimed it was an accidental overdose. A hospital spokesperson told the New York Daily News, "Her parents want everyone to know that it was not a suicide attempt. She's not in any danger and she's just fine. She's resting comfortably, and when she's not resting, she's talkative and alert in good condition." In January 2017, Locklear released a statement claiming that she was feeling great in response to a rumor that she'd re-entered rehab. The actress said she was ready to go full steam ahead in 2017, but in September of that year, she ran her Porsche off the road. Emergency dispatch audio revealed that Locklear pulled herself free of the crash before a rescue crew or paparazzi arrived. Most outlets reported that Locklear had simply veered into a ditch, but a 911 call obtained by TMZ told a different story. The caller can be heard telling the dispatcher that the car had crashed into a creek and was 10 feet or more from the roadside.
Is there anything else? Was there anyone in there?
Yeah, there is a car. There is a person in the car.
Locklear was hospitalized, indicating that the accident was actually worse than she let on. Entertainment Tonight later reported that she had broken her collarbone. Interestingly, as soon as the authorities became aware of her identity, it seems they may have wrapped things up as swiftly as possible. The deputy told the radio dispatcher on the call, "It's a celebrity. She's huge." And the dispatcher responded, "I'll let the sheriff's office know and they'll probably get out there a little quicker." Locklear once again escaped charges. Law enforcement officials concluded neither drugs nor alcohol were to blame for the accident. In February 2018, Locklear was arrested on suspicion of felony domestic violence and battery on a sheriff's deputy after her brother reportedly showed up at her house and found her fighting with boyfriend Chris Heiser. According to TMZ, Locklear's brother reportedly called 911 when the violence started getting out of hand, but when law enforcement turned up, the actress reportedly became irate. A source told Entertainment Tonight she was furious her brother got the police involved and she was in no state to be able to have a normal thinking conversation. She was out of control. She was screaming at the police and went on the attack. She physically fought the police and they had to handcuff her to control her. This version of events was seemingly confirmed by the Ventura County Sheriff's Department, who told the Los Angeles Times that Locklear's behavior was extremely hostile and uncooperative, and she at one point became combative with the deputies. An insider told Entertainment Tonight that Locklear has a habit of projecting an image of normalcy, though she may be battling personal problems behind the scenes. It's sad she lets things get this out of control before she gets help. In September 2017, Locklear posted lovey-dovey messages about Heiser to her Instagram, calling her high school sweetheart her first love and final love, and her favorite person on earth. But Heiser found himself in handcuffs after being busted for DUI just hours after the alleged domestic violence incident. We certainly hope the Heather Locklear we love finds a way to merge her private and public personas into a strong and healthy identity.
Amber Heard has carved out an impressive on-screen career, but you're likely to also know the actress from her personal life, which has often become tabloid fodder. Here are some things you may not know about Amber Heard's real life. Heard and her estranged husband, Johnny Depp, met in 2012 on the set of The Rum Diary and wed in 2015. By May 2016, Heard had filed for divorce and accused him of domestic abuse. Heard wrote in the declaration, "During the entirety of our relationship, Johnny has been verbally and physically abusive to me. I endured excessive emotional, verbal, and physical abuse from Johnny, which has included angry, hostile, humiliating, and threatening assaults to me whenever I questioned his authority or disagreed with him." Heard submitted a photo depicting her with a bruised face. She claimed the injury was caused by Depp striking her with his phone. She told the court, "I live in fear that Johnny will return to our house unannounced to terrorize me, physically and emotionally." The police found no evidence of an assault when responding to a domestic dispute at the couple's home in May 2016, and Heard declined to file a criminal report. Depp's attorney told the court, "Heard is attempting to secure a premature financial resolution by alleging abuse. Johnny cannot protect himself or Amber from media scrutiny." While Heard accused Depp of domestic violence, she was actually arrested for alleged domestic violence against her former partner, photographer Tasia Von Ray, in September 2009. According to TMZ, Heard and Von Ray got into an argument at an airport, and Heard allegedly struck Von Ray. She was arrested and booked for misdemeanor domestic violence, but the prosecutor declined to move forward, supposedly because both women live in California. Years after the incident, Von Ray told People that it was, quote, over-sensationalized, and described the arresting officers as homophobic. But it turns out the arresting officer actually identifies as a gay woman and wrote in a Facebook statement, "I am so not homophobic. The arrest was made because an assault occurred, I witnessed it, and the parties were in a domestic partnership." Von Ray also released a statement when reports of the arrest resurfaced in 2016, saying, "It's disheartening that Amber's integrity and story are being questioned yet again. Amber is a brilliant, honest, and beautiful woman, and I have the utmost respect for her. We shared 5 wonderful years together and remain close to this day." Heard's relationship with the media swings like a pendulum. In 2013, she told Refinery29 that making movies was the easy part, and added, "The press is where you really work for your money." However, others suggest it's Heard who's working the press. According to CBS News, she filed for divorce from Depp just days after his mother died in May 2016, and she filed for a restraining order just days before his film, Alice Through the Looking Glass, debuted in theaters. A media feeding frenzy ensued, successfully overshadowing Depp's major life events. Depp's longtime friend, comedian Doug Stanhope, claimed Heard was attempting to blackmail Depp through the press if he didn't concede to her divorce demands by claiming she was abused. In an op-ed for The Wrap, Stanhope wrote, "Everything Johnny has told us that she'd be threatening had actually come to be. It blew up in the news, raced through the internet like a plague, and blew up on Twitter. People are swarming with torches on social media." In December 2018, Heard wrote an op-ed for The Washington Post about what the media does to women who come forward about domestic or sexual violence, explaining that advisors told her she could be blacklisted or lose roles because she went public with her allegations. She wrote, "I became a public figure representing domestic abuse, and I felt the full force of our culture's wrath for women who speak out."
Even outside of this industry, we need to change the way we talk about women on a social level, on a political level.
Although she didn't mention Depp by name in the piece, Heard was hit with a $50 million defamation lawsuit by the actor, who felt it was a, quote, clear implication of him. According to NBC News, the lawsuit claimed, "The op-ed depended on the central premise that Ms. Heard was a domestic abuse victim and that Mr. Depp perpetuated domestic violence against her. The picture is categorically and demonstrably false. Amber hit, punched, and kicked me. She also repeatedly and frequently threw objects into my body and head." In response, Heard dubbed Depp the monster and claimed he had threatened her life. Recalling the times when Depp allegedly physically assaulted and attempted to suffocate her while under the influence of alcohol and drugs, Heard claimed, "Johnny often would not remember his delusional and violent conduct after he came out of his drunk or medicated states. Because I love Johnny, I had believed his multiple promises that he could and would get better. I was wrong."
We need to not wait for 15, 20 women to come forward before we stop asking what's your motive.
While Depp has been widely viewed as the alleged aggressor, public perception on the situation began to shift when expletive-filled audio recordings from 2015 were obtained by the Daily Mail in February 2020, on which Heard appeared to admit to physically assaulting him. In the first recording, Heard can be heard on tape talking about an incident that occurred the night before, during which Depp claimed she punched him. She allegedly says, "I'm sorry that I didn't hit you across the face in a proper slap, but I was hitting you. It was not punching you. Babe, you're not punched." The second audio recording features Heard appearing to almost taunt Depp, asking if anyone would believe that a 115-pound woman attacked him. She repeatedly said in a mocking tone, "You're going to get up on the stand, Johnny, and say she started it? Really? You can please tell people that it was a fair fight and see what the jury and judge thinks. Tell the world, Johnny. Tell them, Depp. I, Depp, a man, I'm a victim too of domestic violence." Heard's motion to dismiss Depp's defamation lawsuit was denied that March, according to Deadline. Johnny Depp's legal team strengthened its offensive when it called upon Amber Heard's former personal assistant, Kate James, to testify against her former boss. In a pre-taped video played in court in April 2022, James said she worked for the actor from 2012 through 2015 and claimed she was repeatedly abused. James recalled a number of instances in which Heard allegedly yelled at her in a blind rage and claimed that she was hit with barrages of abusive text messages day and night. She claimed the messages were incoherent and that Heard just wanted someone to lash out at. James also testified that she never saw any bruising or signs of abuse on Heard, that the former couple's home always appeared in order, and that Heard never confided in her about any mistreatment. The most shocking revelation, however, came as James claimed that when she once asked for a raise, she said that Heard leapt up out of her chair, put her face 4 inches from my face, telling me how dare I ask the salary I was asking for. She felt that gave her the right to spit in my face. The former assistant added that Heard's alleged habit of mistreatment extended to her own sister and mother, and James referred to Depp as a total Southern gentleman whom she never saw lose his temper. During the 2020 court proceedings linked to Johnny Depp's libel lawsuit against The Sun, where the magazine labeled him a wife-beater, the actor's legal team tried to prove Amber Heard had a history of physical abuse.
Depp's legal team made very clear yesterday that the case is all about vindication of his reputation.
Depp's lawyer, David Sherborne, told a London court he had a video that would prove Heard had a history of violence and attacking people. In said clip, the Aquaman star's younger sister, Whitney Enriquez, is shown having her face and arm examined by a woman who proclaims, "I can't believe Amber beat your." However, when Enriquez took to the stand, she was adamant that the footage wasn't what it seemed, explaining that she had only had a verbal disagreement with her sister. Enriquez explained that the clip was filmed for a really bad reality show in the mid-2000s, and that the woman was simply trying to make a very, very boring conversation more interesting. Enriquez was also asked about a 2015 incident during which Heard admitted she hit Depp in order to protect her sister, whom she feared he would push down the stairs. Recalling the fight that allegedly occurred on the staircase in the building where they all lived, Enriquez seemingly corroborated the story, claiming that Depp was trying to push her aside to get to Heard. She claimed that Amber suddenly lurched forward and hit him and said, "Don't hit my sister." After Johnny Depp filed his $50 million defamation lawsuit against Amber Heard in 2019, she responded by filing her own court documents in which she detailed her ex's alleged physical and psychological abuse. Abuse that she said resulted in her suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. Heard's argument was that Depp's legal team set out to debunk her claims by hiring a clinical and forensic psychologist named Dr. Shannon Curry to evaluate Heard. Dr. Curry spent about 12 hours with Heard in person and also analyzed various court documents, videos, and evidence. Delivering her verdict in court in April 2022, she concluded that Heard allegedly had borderline personality disorder and histrionic personality disorder, but apparently not PTSD. According to the Mayo Clinic, patients with borderline personality disorder often have an intense fear of abandonment or instability. However, their inappropriate anger, impulsiveness, and frequent mood swings may make keeping relationships difficult. Meanwhile, histrionic personality disorder typically manifests itself in a willingness to do almost anything to be the center of attention. Indeed, Dr. Curry assessed that Heard was a type 36 personality, insisting,
"Very concerned with their image. Very attention-seeking, very prone to externalizing blame to a point."
And while she conceded that Heard still could have been psychologically harmed by Depp, as she's alleged, Dr. Curry concluded that Heard was allegedly grossly exaggerating symptoms of PTSD when asked about them. Heard first met Elon Musk on the set of 2013's Machete Kills. At that point, Heard was with Johnny Depp and Musk was married. They apparently hit it off, but didn't publicly acknowledge a romantic relationship until April 2017, when Heard posted a photo of them to Instagram. In that photo, Musk had a print of her red lipstick on his cheek. As one source told People, friendship didn't blossom into love until they were both single, a claim Depp refuted. During his libel case against The Sun, Depp accused his ex-wife of cheating on him with the Tesla founder. He later repeated those same claims during his defamation suit against Heard, alleging that she and Musk first got together in 2015. What's more, he accused the couple of having a threesome with Cara Delevingne at his home in 2016 after he and Heard split. It was an allegation Musk denied, telling Page Six, "Cara and I are friends, but we've never been intimate." He also underscored the fact that he and Heard only started dating a month after Heard filed for divorce. While we may never know the real timeline, Depp and Heard's former talent agent, Kristen Carino, added his own take on the matter while testifying in court in April 2022. Carino said that while Heard and Depp were indeed separated at the time she was with Musk, she was allegedly just filling space with the billionaire while trying to fix things with Depp.